The following video is sponsored by VencoPlus.com. If you're looking for a side hustle or full-time income, invest in vending machines. VencoPlus.com is a turnkey business offering the lowest prices, personalized customer support, and they have financing, so be your own boss. Check out their link in the description below.
Hi everybody, this is Norm from the Board Game Museum, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 Monopoly board games of 2021. Now, the versions I'm going to be looking at are going to be the variants. These are the games that do not play like standard Monopoly, so I'm not going to be doing like any reskins or anything like that. But these are going to be the games that play differently than Monopoly. So let's start with number 10. Number 10 is Monopoly At Home Reality Edition. Now, this is Hasbro's attempt at making a Monopoly game with a COVID theme to it. The different rules that they have in the game is that you can't land on the same space as somebody else because of social distancing. The game is based on rooms of the house, and there's also a screaming baby in this game as well that's going to be moving along with everybody else, and if you end up landing on the baby, then you're going to have to end up paying money. This version of the game doesn't have a lot of different rule changes, so it plays like a stripped down version of Monopoly, but just with a few variants on it. But I've played a lot of these other Monopoly games, and to me, it just didn't really interest me too much. Number 9 is Monopoly Builder. Now, Monopoly Builder is Hasbro's attempt at making a game with a resource element in it, similar to Catan. What you're going to be doing in this game is you're going to be collecting different resources, and you're going to be trying to build a building that is 5 stories tall. And each block is going to represent a floor, and then you need certain resources in order to build that floor. Now, the thing with this game is, number one, it's pretty cheaply made. And the second thing is that it is very, very easy to get resources in this game. You'll end up having a card, which you'll have access to a resource if you end up rolling a certain die. There are spaces on the board where you can get multiple resources. It's just very easy. I think in the second turn, I was able to build the first floor pretty quick. So this game, I don't think it was meant to last very long, but if you've played games like Catan and other resource building games, this one is a pretty simplified version of a resource game, and it's a little bit unbalanced too, because depending on which card that you start with, your character, so to speak, you're going to have access to a resource, and some of those resources you need more of than others. So if you end up getting the card that can give you access to those resources, that's going to give you an advantage. But anyway, guys, that is Monopoly Builder. Number 8 is Monopoly Rivals. Now, Monopoly Rivals is Hasbro's two-player version of Monopoly, and the object of this game is you're going to be trying to get all of the properties. One of the things you're going to do is if you land on a property that's unknown, you're simply going to go ahead and pick it up and put a house on there. They've got your standard rental rules, but they also have a rule where if you land on a property, you also have to auction off the adjacent properties. So the properties are going to be going quick in this game. You also have the option, if you land on your opponent's space, to offer him a trade as opposed to having to pay rent. So there's a lot of back and forth going on in this game, trying to end up getting all of the properties and stuff. I think it's a pretty cool little version. There are a lot of two-player rival games out now, and I think for Hasbro's attempt at Monopoly, this one works okay. Now, it's not like Seven Wonders Duels or anything like that where it's an epic game, but it's pretty standard, but I think it's pretty good. Number 7 is Monopoly Go Green. Now, this is an interesting game just because of the fact that this is made out of recycled materials and environmentally friendly materials. Pieces, for example, are made out of a certain type of sugar cane. They use some certain type of wood to make the greenhouses, and then recycled paper for the cards and the board. So it's pretty fascinating to see that you have an entire game that is just made out of nothing but recycled materials and environmental friendly materials. And also, this is what the game is based on. You have an opportunity to do what's called green up your property, which means if you pay a certain amount of money, you'll turn over your property card and it'll be the green side, and you'll be able to charge more rent with it. Also, you're going to have access to greenhouses that you can also be able to buy to make people pay even more rent. I do actually like this game. It plays differently enough, and with the green theme, I think it's a good little game. Number 6 is Monopoly Crooked Cash. Now, Monopoly Crooked Cash has a magnifying glass in it, and it also has what is called real money and fake money, and real chance cards and fake chance cards. And you're also going to be getting some tokens that are going to allow you to try to search your opponent's money or cards to see if they're real or fake. If you're right, you're going to end up getting a reward like not having to pay rent or getting a bill from them. Of course, there's going to be penalties for the player if it happens to be fake. Now, you don't know if it's fake until you actually get the glass up and you look at the card itself. The one thing I like about this game is it does have a little bit of this take that feature to it. Because when you're able to find a fake bill, it's kind of funny because, you know, your opponent's not expecting it. They may have a big bill that they need to pay, and then it turns out they have a fake bill. And so it's a pretty cool little game if you kind of like mystery games, maybe. It works. It's definitely different, but it does have a lot of the standard Monopoly rules as well. Number 5 is Monopoly Space Jam. Now, this one is based off of the movie with LeBron James, and this game, you're going to have a bunch of Looney Tunes characters in place of the properties, and you're also going to have speed and stamina as opposed to houses and hotels. This game also comes with a unique mechanism where it has a little basket and it has a shooter where you're going to be able to shoot from a three-point line or from a free throw line. They end up having what's called the hoop deck, and with all of these cards, you're going to be shooting the basketball to try to get money and try to make a certain amount of shots, and you may end up losing money if you're not able to do it. So it really makes a lot of use of the basketball mechanism in this game. I like this version. It's a pretty cool version. I mean, definitely themed with Looney Tunes, and the artwork is done well. But yeah, it's cool because that basketball mechanism is probably, I'd say, a good 50-60% of what you're going to be doing in this game, trying to earn rewards and trying to make sure that you don't pay extra money. So, good game. Number 4 is Monopoly Jurassic Park. Now, this is based off of the movie from the 90s, and this game has a T-Rex in it that is going to be moving around the board while you're moving. Now, the interesting thing with the T-Rex is any space that it ends up landing on is going to damage that property. So, in order for you to actually use the property, you're going to have to pay money to get it fixed first, and then you're going to be able to go ahead and build on it. But this T-Rex is going to be going around and around the board the entire time, damaging properties. And if you also end up getting passed by the T-Rex, or if it lands on you, you're going to have to pay money to the bank. So you could be like having to run away from this thing for a good portion of the time. So it definitely makes it interesting. You're going to be paying a lot more money in this game than you normally would, because as soon as that property gets damaged, it's basically like mortgaging a property. So you have to fix it, keep going, fix it, keep going, and then once the game can possibly end if the T-Rex ends up damaging all the properties. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty cool little version of Monopoly. I think they did a pretty good job with the Jurassic Park feel for sure. I mean, having this T-Rex running around damaging properties throughout the whole game is pretty unique. Number 3 is Monopoly Lord of the Rings. Now, this version plays a lot differently than the one that was created several years ago. This one has a tracker on it, and it also has some very nice components. The tokens are really nice. It has a ring. The artwork is really nice. And the ring sets on the base of the character. Now, the deal with the ring is that if you are the holder of the ring, you're not going to have to worry about paying rent or you're having to pay fees or anything like that. And you'll actually get a chance to win a pretty good chunk of change if you're able to last that long with it. Now, the flip side of it is if you end up rolling the Eye of Sauron, which is on one of the die, you're going to have to pay the penalty wherever the tracker lands on. This is in the middle of the board, and it goes like $2 million, $4 million, all the way up to Mount Doom. Now, if you get to Mount Doom, that's going to end the game. You can actually pass this ring off to other people. You can fight somebody for the ring as well. And when you do that, the tracker is going to go all the way back to the beginning. So between the artwork and the tracker, it has this press your luck aspect to it as well. Nice game. Number 2 is Monopoly the Target Edition. Now, this game was hyped up for a little while, and this basically plays way differently than Monopoly. This could actually be its own little game. But what you're going to be doing is all the spaces are now going to be items that you would find in the department store. And when you land on it, you're going to go ahead and pick it up and put it into your little Target basket, which is a pretty cool feature. Now, whenever you land on free parking or on go, you're going to have an opportunity to purchase these items. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the most amount of savings tokens. Now, whenever you purchase the items, you're going to go ahead and get savings tokens, but there's also tokens in the middle of the board that you can get access to that'll either double or triple your savings. And plus, you also have a red card in the game that can even add more to your savings. So ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the most amount of savings tokens by the time the game ends. Definitely a different feel of Monopoly. I think it's a really cool game. And it's pretty cool having the little basket and just being able to put things in there. You actually feel like you're shopping at Target. It's pretty cool. And finally, number 1 is Monopoly Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing is a very popular online game. So you've got 4 different types of resources, and they're all attributed to different islands in the game, i.e. the spaces, and whenever you land on one, you're going to go ahead and pick it up. Now, what you can do is you can trade these different resources for what are called bells, and then you can trade in the bells to get what are called Nook Miles, and these are going to be decorations that you're going to be able to have. Now, they got a ton of decorations in the cards. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and each of them will have a different amount of Nook Miles on there, and you're going to have some in the center of the board that you're going to be able to choose from. Really cool game. This is another one of those games that if you didn't see the word Monopoly on there, it could be its own game. Really good themed version of Animal Crossing. If you like Animal Crossing, I would recommend it. All right, guys, that is my top 10 list of 2021 for Monopoly games. We'll see you later. Keep on gaming.